those months. Just haven't had the time. But now we are here, and we're going to do a little unboxing. We're going to be unboxing today. We've got the 8bitdo Ultimate C wired controller. And so we're going to be experimenting with this thing. This is like their budget controller. So if you don't need something fancy, this might do it for you. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles of their Ultimate controller, which we'll also be looking at in a bit. But if you want something cheap, like 20 bucks cheap, it's not a bad option, I think. And so we're going to unbox it in a few minutes. And what I thought I would do first is let some of you come into the live here, and then we'll get cooking. And we've got some friends already joining us. Carol is here. Hello there. Thank you for stopping in. Hope all is good out where you are. And Carol is the first and the second. So that's actually the second chat that has come in so far. And you are first and second. Hey, Tech Time with Eric is here. Long time no see. Good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. I think that's what it's giving me here. So thank you. Yes, it is a super chat. Thank you very much. They change the back end changes constantly. Yeah, it's like old times. We haven't had time together in a while, so it's kind of fun to get everybody back in again. So during the time of the scourge, we were we were doing this like 2 or 3 times a week. It was fun. And Seba says it's a nice, yeah, so these are available for $20. I got a link in the description to take you to Amazon. And this one is wired only. They have, though, a wireless one, but it's not Bluetooth. So it is a wired USB-C. It will do Windows and Android, but not switch. Nick Versopa is here. Good to see you. James is here. Thank you very much. You know, I pick up new subscribers every day. My strategy has always been slow and steady. And as long as I'm earning a living, I'm good. So that's how we've been going here. Slow and steady. Oh, you had a back injury. Ouch. Well, hopefully it's in better shape now. Well, I'm glad to see you, and maybe we'll catch up with you at Retro World again. That was fun. I enjoyed our Gatorade together. The Brown is here. Civil is here. Hello there. Am I going to test this on a single board computer? Sure, we could do that. It works with the Raspberry Pi. I have a Pi somewhere in this mess. Where did it go? And if I don't get to it in the video, I will do it in the review. I could hook it up to my Mister also. Maybe we could go grab the Mister if you want me to do that. But it works with the Pi. It actually has it listed right here, Raspberry Pi. So it will work with your Pi setup. D1905 wants to know, will it work with an iPad? We will find out because I have my iPad Pro right here. So what I found with the 8bitdo controllers, and we'll plug this in a little bit. On an iPad with a USB-C connector, the other 8bitdo controllers work and are detected like a game controller, like the PlayStation or the Xbox. But this would not work on the phones because the phones or an iPad with a Lightning connector, because those require Bluetooth, which this doesn't have. So there you go. All right, so let's open it up. Maybe I'll get the Mister in a little while, hook it up to that. I know a lot of you hate my unboxing technique, but you know, I don't have my, I didn't think to bring my knife out with me here. All right, so let's crack this thing open here. Wow, we've got 350, oh, I see, 29 watching on Amazon. I'm trying to learn the new analytics here. Let me check my other screen here. Yeah, okay, 30. So it looks like 383 have stopped by at some point so far already on Amazon. Now these are available. If you don't like pastel colors, you're not going to like this. So there is a green one, And there is a purple one, which is the one they sent me. By the way, these came in free of charge from 8bitdo. And I never know when these are coming. They just send them. So like the DHL guy stopped by yesterday, and here it is. Of note, USB-A. That's going to complicate things slightly on the iPad, but we will work around that problem. So I may have to plug a dock. I'll plug this into the iPad, and that will get us going. I'm actually surprised that they don't have a USB-C adapter in the box. Also noteworthy is that it does not have a removable connector. So the connector is this is all you're going to get. I mean, you could probably get like a USB extension cable or something, but feels good, like all the 8bitdo controllers do. They've got a nice solid feel. You have some texture here on the, here, I'll give you another angle here. You have some texture here, so it's got a nice textured feel. For those of you watching on YouTube, you might be able to see that texture in my 4K stream. You've got analog triggers here. So this is very similar to their other controller. What I am noticing is that the D-pad feels like an 8-bit D-pad, like a Nintendo 8-bit D-pad. So it's got that nice 8bitdo feel to it. We'll see how it does with errant diagonals and stuff in a bit. But the position of the D-pad is certainly more the Xbox style than the PlayStation style, where you would have the D-pad over here. So this may not be the best retro controller, at least for like 8-bit games, because I like to have my D-pad in a different position than where the Xbox usually puts it. Clickable sticks, got your buttons. Feels pretty good. Not bad. All right, so let's plug it in. And I think what we'll do is, and hey, my tech guy Tim is here too. Let's see if I got some more questions that I'm missing here while I take my sip of coffee. Yes, there is a wireless one. So you'll find that on the Amazon page. That one has a dongle, but it's not Bluetooth. So it's a 2.4. And actually, they sent me, we'll look at this one after we're done with this. They sent me this one also, which is like their, the deluxe edition, if you will. But you'll notice it's 2.4G, which means that it doesn't have Bluetooth. So it's a little less expensive than the Bluetooth one. So I have the Bluetooth one, which I actually haven't gotten to review yet. Maybe I'll do these two together. And so that one costs a little more, and it's compatible with the Switch, whereas this one is not. So we'll get to this one in a little bit. But yeah, they also have a wireless version of this one, which is 2.4 only, just like that other one I just pulled out. It looks like the Mister is what. All right, I'll run upstairs and get the Mister in a few minutes. So we'll give that a test. And James wonders, here's a question for the chat. They make decent controllers, but is anyone buying wired anymore? That's a good question. I like wired for a couple of reasons. One is that it is, first of all, you don't have the battery problem. Secondly, you've got slightly better latency, right? Because you don't have the Bluetooth or the wireless thing in the middle there. And actually, yes, on the other controllers, we did test the Lightning to USB adapter, and it just does not work under that scenario for some reason. Tomflay98, thank you for the super chat. Flood of Sins is here. Good afternoon. And yes, they do have wireless versions of this one, so you can, if you look up the 2.4 on Amazon, you'll see that version. And yeah, so if you have the dongle, you can plug it into anything for sure. For sure. So maybe we'll get that wireless one in and see how it differs. So let's plug it into my Legion here. I love these Legion gaming laptops. This is my personal one. This thing's a monster. They all are. And actually, what I use them for I use them more for video production than I do for gaming, because they're so good at live video production. All right, so let's move this over here a little bit. And yeah, let's see what we've got here. Maybe I'll pull up. You know what? Let me try the 8bitdo Ultimate software first. So I just installed it. I don't think, maybe I got the wrong software here. Let's see. And then I think we have to hold down. Let me get the instructions out here. Yeah, let me give you a better camera angle than that. That looks terrible. Hang on a second. Let's get positioned here. Woo! Well, it's good that the Amazon stream is working. The last time we tried to go live on Amazon, remember, it didn't work? So today it is working, which is good. All right, there we go, a little better. All right. I think I got to adjust my leveling here, too. It looks a little uneven. All right, let's do that, and then we'll zoom in a little bit. Give a little room for my arm here. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's take a look and see what it gets detected as. I'm going to pull up my game controller tester app here. Okay, so right now it's not being detected as X input. So if I consult the instruction manual here, oh, so you have to hold the X button down. Here, check this out. So, Windows, hold the X button while connecting the controller to the USB port. Wait till the controller is successfully recognized, and it should stay solid. So right now it is blinking. Hold B button for Raspberry Pi and Android. Interesting. All right, so let's try this again. So it's a little more complicated than just a... So I'm going to hold down the X button, and then I'm going to plug it in here. Ah, that did it. And then we can go to here. And nothing is getting detected here. Well, that's not good. None of the buttons are getting picked up here. Do I have a bad one? Could be. Let's see. Let me close out everything here. So hold down the X button again. Oops. Let me see if it gets picked up here. Okay, so it doesn't, the software doesn't pick it up, but I don't think it supports their ultimate software. Let me go back to Game Controller Tester here. I'm going to try a different USB port. And sometimes it's the USB port that causes issues. All right, so the triggers are working. Now it's picking up. Yeah, I'll zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, now it's working. It feels pretty responsive. I'm going to do my my check of its latency also while I'm at it here. So what I found sometimes, especially with these Legion laptops, is that occasionally, like, one of the USB ports just doesn't cooperate. It works fine for some things and not others. So here's an example of that in action. And you're going to love this very unscientific test, but I found I've done this relatively consistently over time that I can actually get this to work pretty well. And by the way, I have an iPad here. This is my iPad Pro 11. This is the first generation one. And you know what? This thing is still great. I have had no desire to buy a new iPad. It does 120 frames per second stuff, no problem. All right, so let's see if I can get this configured here. And what I'm doing here is recording my screen at 120 frames per second. And I just want to see how long it takes for the button push to get registered. I suspect that it's going to be pretty good. All right, so we got that going. And next we'll pull up a game. Oh, James made his own connector for USB-A to whatever you call the original. Is that the OG Xbox? They had those really nice breakaway controllers, right, on the original? Leo buys wired controllers. Weeb has the 8bitdo M30. Is that their, that's the Sega Genesis looking one, right? Leo says, latency, price, no batteries, less stuff to break. That'll do it. And yeah, that's the one issue that I've got here too. I suspect that cloud out of date is not yet in the cloud. I'll play anyway. What was I saying? I don't remember. Okay. So we will load up my favorite game here, and we'll see how it handles that. This is like your basic 3D style game here. Now, which one is my normal save here? I think it's this one. I'll turn my brightness up a little bit. I'll adjust the video settings here in a minute too. I think it looks nice. It looks nice and it feels nice. I like the color of it. I wasn't sure how I would feel about this pastel. My studio lights kind of maybe dim it out a little bit. But I'll give you the overhead here. Yeah, that looks pretty close to what I see. So it's nice. I mean, you can only get this in a pastel purple or green, and I suspect that they're doing that to separate it from the other controller, right? So that, or from the more expensive ones, to know that you've got the budget option. Yeah, let me synchronize that video clip up here. Give me 1 second here. Let that sync up here to iCloud. All right, and let me just do a quick adjustment on the video here. This is still set to 1080p when I was doing a different experiment earlier. I think this is a 2560 by 1600, I think. All right, there we go. Much better. Okay, so let's go find a planet to land on here. This game's awesome in VR if you haven't played it already in VR. All right, so let's go land. I just want to get my guy out and walk him around a little bit. Boy, it's pretty, I haven't played this game on this laptop yet. This is like really performing quite nicely. So this is a, I think 144 hertz display, and it's running at around 100 frames per second right now, and I've got G-Sync enabled. This is actually a pretty nice gaming experience. I usually play it in 4K upstairs, so it runs nice upstairs, but not as quick as this at a lower resolution. All right, so let's hop out of the spaceship here. And let's see how that looks. So it's, oh, by the way, it has rumble motors too on it. Oh, great. I landed on an extreme sentinel planet. So let me just do one thing. I'm going to do some B-roll here. And what I'm going to do, it's got one hidden feature. And I'll show you that in a second here. So let's just do 8bitdo Ultimate C. Okay. I just want to do a quick demo of, so there's a bit of a dead zone here. So it needs a little bit of a nudge here to get moving. Oh, great. Ooh, all right, we got to get out of here. So I found if you dig holes in the ground, you can hide from those guys. Yeah, see they're searching now? Maybe we'll go to a different planet. So it takes a little bit of a nudge here. And you can see what it takes to get that moving. Just a little bit of a nudge. So there is a command. Let me go back to the, so these, let me grab a few more questions here. You know, they used to put instructions on the bottom of the controller, but they don't have them on the bottom of this one. So the labels on some of these 8bitdos had that as an option. Let me just do one thing, because I was looking. David's got the, yeah, I like their old school ones. They're pretty cool. They made some really nice replica controllers. Weeb likes the purple. I think the purple looks nice. And Leo says it looks better than the renders do. Yeah, I think it does. It looks, so I wasn't sure how I was going to like these colors. My daughters would love a pink one like that. That's like right up their alley if they had a, CM is here. I guess the Xbox One controllers and fight sticks have breakaways on them. And these are not Hall effect sticks. But there is one from one of their sister companies that does make, it's like called the King Kong or something. Yeah, and this one is completely wired. So the issues with that won't be there. Let me check and see. Here's my file. And what I'm going to do here is show you my, let me get my vMix thing up here. I will show you what I do to measure the latency. And bear with me for 1 second here, folks. It looks like it's not going to work again. All right, so I will do it on the screen here. All right, not the most. All right, here we go. Ready? That's what I did earlier. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's pretty good. So 10 frames at 240 frames per second is when that button lit up on there. And that is actually, so if I go to my spreadsheet here, I've got a game controller latency database that I keep for myself here. And so my method is probably not the most scientific, but it does give kind of a good sense as to how good the latency of the controller is versus others. So in this instance, it's every bit as good as what I've seen out of other 8bitdo controllers. So it's up there with the Xbox controller when it's plugged in via USB. So in other words, there's no latency penalty for choosing this inexpensive one over the more expensive one. And let me get my Google Doc going here too. And that's it. I think Nintendo, and that's like the Gen 1, right? Gamepad, right? And it was perfect from the start. I wonder if it was so much that it's perfect or it was the only option and therefore it was the best one. But whatever it is, it's hard to, people have struggled to make one that's just as good as that, right? And I agree. Mr. Add-ons actually solders things. So I think he will be the definitive answer on this. All right. So we got that straightened out. Now what I want to do here, I need to get back to my spaceship because this is not a planet that I can comfortably reside on at the moment without getting destroyed by these creatures, by the Sentinels. So let's get the heck out of here. Oops, there we go. Wrong button. It's been a while since I've played the game here. So we're going to get the heck out of Dodge here before they come after me. Let's see, where'd the ship go? There it is. We got to get out of Dodge here before the Sentinels find me again. Because like you can't hang out on the planet because they constantly attack you. So we're going to get the heck out of here and we'll go find some place that's safer, safer to run our tests on. Because there is an option to disable the dead zone on the stick. So although you don't have the level of control on this one that you have on the others. Now what's over here? Is that a base that I set up? Oh, it's a settlement. All right, we're not going to go there. Now what's on this planet? Let's see if this planet is a little safer to visit. I like the way this game looks. All right, this one is a flourishing planet. All right, we can be safe here. So let's go to this planet. And then we'll mess around with the dead zones on this thing. Yeah, see, back in my day, the Player 2 controllers were always crappy, right? Like that's what I gave my sister, was the cheap knockoff controller that you got for your Nintendo. So if I was the sibling, I'd be like, you know, this isn't bad. Let's see what this guy's got. What can we sell him? I have not booted up this game in a long time, so I don't know what I've even got for materials. Yeah, we'll come back to this later. All right, let's go land on the planet here. You see what happens when I'm trying to get some work done? Like, you get distracted. You are welcome. Yeah, I think the state of the art has advanced beyond what I can do, but I think it's good to have like an idea as to, with this test, how does this stack up against the others, right? And I think this one does pretty well there. Okay, so we're gonna put her down over here, and then we can test the dead zone setting here. All right. There we go. Okay. So the only problem with this planet is that they have boiling monsoons. But, all right, so let's hit the button here. And I think what I'm going to do, I may just do this live when I do the review maybe, but there is a bit of a dead zone here that you'll see. And you can't adjust it, so you either have the dead zone on or off. But there is a good amount here, as you can see, before it actually starts registering. And I will double check to see if that's an in-game setting with this game or not, but I suspect that it is not. And bear with me here, folks. I'm just going to create a Google Doc for... But I think for the price, you can't go wrong with this, right? Especially like if you got like a Raspberry Pi setup or a Mister or something, right? Okay, 8bitdo Ultimate C controller. Dead zone test. All right, so what we're going to do here is, now it's not in the instructions, by the way. So there's a turbo function. Hold the button you would like to and press the start button to activate. So there's a turbo function And unfortunately, this is probably not the game to demo it with, but I will show you that in a minute. So let's do the other one first. Sorry, I'm like all over the place here. I'm just trying to get my thoughts organized. All right, so let me go back to the 8bitdo page here. And they have an FAQ. And there is a secret setting. Hang on one second, everybody. Just want to make sure I got this correct. Connection guide, compatibility. I saw this earlier, and now I lost it. Maybe it's on their support page. There we go, FAQ. Okay. Are there any special features? You can disable the dead zone of the joysticks depending on your need. Press and hold the plus/minus buttons on the controller for 5 seconds to activate the no dead zone mode. All right, so let's hold it down and see what happens. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. Okay, it just activated. Now they warn that you might end up with some stick drift. Yeah, so that dead zone is programmed into the game here because it's still requiring a good amount of movement. So I will look at go back to my tester app here and see what happens there. So let's go over to my game controller tester. Okay, so this is with, let me zoom in a little bit here. So this is with that mode enabled right now. So the dead zone is off. So let's jump in here and see what we get with that off. All right. So it's still got a little bit of one in here. So let's turn it back on here and see what happens. Okay, so now the mode is, it's really hard to say. So this is with it off, and this is with it on. Okay, so now it says it's on. Okay, so let's see what happens. So it's still got a little bit of one. So that's with it. Try it again. Okay, so that is, hang on a second, everybody. I'm just recording this for B-roll. 200 dead zone off. And now we're going to turn it back on. So hold it down here. Okay. And now it is on. So this is all right, so a little bit more of a dead zone there. It's not a lot. And so it's not like customizable the way that the other ones are. And Tony says that I have found that the Nintendo Switch Online controllers sold by Nintendo actually have much less input lag via Bluetooth than as 8bitdos do. I wonder, it might be, there's probably some commodity part that they have to source for this stuff, right? And maybe Nintendo has some off-spec Bluetooth thing that they're doing to have a lesser amount of input lag. It's entirely possible. Yeah, that's right. My friend used to bring his NES Advantage with him, right? Which, did I buy one of those recently? I think I did. I got some lot from one of these. These happen in the summer. You get these like estate sale lots, and I think I have one that I got, one of those impulse buys. Then you spend an hour going to pick it up. But yeah, $20 for this, not a bad deal. And agree, you got to make sure the game mode is on. And yep, I know that feeling. We had a lot of rain. My grass was looking like a forest. And the thing is, my yard is not actually grass. It's like something else. But it looks good when it's mowed. Yeah, I think they hit the price point on this. You don't get all the bells and whistles, but... And I think the color choice was definitely purposeful. They probably wanted something to make this look as though it's not like the more expensive one, kind of make this look more budget, if you will. But you're right, they could have done a translucent thing or something. But they probably will get there because they have this one, right? So they've got translucent in the plastic molds there. So it does not have Hall effect joysticks. Oh, you know what? Let me check and see if there is a firmware update. I will check that. It looks like right now there's just a 1.0, but you're right. Maybe there's an update that might impact this. So let's make sure we've got that dialed in before we go too much further here. So let's go to support again. And they actually have a really good support page here. And they have this little upgrade tool that you can download, which I will show you in a second here. Oops. Let's go downloads, 8bitdo. Extract all. All right, so let's go run the updater here and see what we get. Okay, firmware updater. And of course you get this rigmarole. I'm sure it's fine. I hope it's fine. All right, so now I've connected the 8bitdo device to the PC. Will it find it? Maybe we got to unplug it and plug it back in again. Hang on, everybody. Maybe it has to be in its firmware update mode. And oh, okay. And you know what? There is a 1.04 update here. So I'm going to install that update and then see if that makes any difference here. Because this one's brand new, and it looks like this one is eligible for the update. So let's see what happens here. So I'm going to click on update, which I think I did already, but let's try it again. Firmware update, no more information at this time, update. The update's not taken. It's like we're not doing this update here. Let's see. Let me try this again. Yeah, the Pro 2 is for me also, like, I think they're magnum opus, right? It kind of incorporated everything that they had worked on prior, right? Let me go back to support here. Let's pick our controller off the list and see if there's firmware updater. I'm guessing this is the same one. So let me try this again here. 8bitdo firmware updater. Okay, connect 8bitdo via USB. So let's do that. Let's see if it detects it. Okay, so there it is, 8bitdo Ultimate C wired version 1.04. So I'm going to click on that. No more information at this time. Update. So it looks like this is too new, maybe? Oh, okay. What is this? That's not it. That's the M30. Oh, that's the website. Hang on. Sorry, everybody. I gotta minimize the window. It's confusing me. Let's go back again. 8bitdo Ultimate C wired version 1.04. No information available at this time. Yeah, it's not taking the update. So whatever firmware it has is up to date, because it says that it's got 1.04. And it's just not letting me do it. So let me unplug it here. Let me try this. Yeah, it's not liking that. I'm going to try to plug this into my Mac real quick and see if maybe that will do it. I agree. I would love to see some additional color options, because not everybody's into pastels, right? I think it looks nice, but it may not be everybody's cup of tea. Dia Games is here. Stephen Morris is here. Mark Smith is here. It's upgrade time. Always upgrade time. Yes, you know what? I have the Ultra, and I have not gotten to reviewing it yet, but I think I'm going to, because now they've got two options, and there'll be some confusion out there. So we'll have to see what this does. So the difference here between the normal and the C1, this is like the budget one. So the fancy software doesn't work with it. What you see is what you get. And what you get is pretty good. But you don't have all the fine tuning that you can do on the other one. And we haven't yet plugged it into my iPad yet either, or the Mister, so we'll get to those in a second. All right, so let's try the 8bitdo Mac firmware updater and see if that has any bearing on this. Okay, let me unplug it from the PC. All right, so I'm going to plug this in. All right, and on the Mac, I've plugged it in and it doesn't even see it. So I am not sure if this is going to require some additional whatever. Or it could just be that the firmware just doesn't need to be updated. I don't know. But yeah, it is not registering here at all. Let me try it with my dock here. I'm prepared for everything on this desk. I have a dock. Plug it into the dock here. And nada. So it could be their firmware updater hasn't been updated itself to know that this controller is available with a firmware update. But I think if you go to the Amazon link, you can buy it right now, right? Is that correct, everybody? Yeah, so that is not happening. All right, so that is that. So I think our testing with the dead zones, at least for now, is accurate. And they didn't really, what's interesting is that dead zone setting is not advertised. It is like on the FAQ, like, oh, here's something you can do, right? So take that for what it's worth. All right, let's get Oceanhorn reloaded on my iPad real quick. And we will see if it will work. Now, the challenge you're going to have, if it does in fact work with the iPad, the challenge you're going to have is that it does not have a USB-C connector. It's only USB-A. So you'll need, if it does work, you're going to need a dock that has USB ports on it. And we shall see how those work. All right. And Donald still has the Steam controllers. And yes, it's from Shenzhen. What could go wrong? They'll spy on you through your controller there. Thea Games bought the Bluetooth Ultimate for the Switch. Yeah, that's a good combo. I've been using the 8bitdos with my Switch upstairs. Kids love them. All right, so, it's a pre-order. Pre-order on Amazon. Let me see. It might be. I think they said it's pre-order right now. Well, pre-order it if you want to get one. I think they're pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it is a pre-order. Oh, it's going to ship at the end of the month. Wow, I'm like really ahead of the game here. So it's possible the firmware update might be available by the time it comes out. Although I suspect that they're pretty, I would say their controllers are pretty mature at this point. So I would be surprised if this wasn't the final iteration here. All right, so I'm going to plug in to my iPad here. And it did light up, so that's a good sign. And let me just put the PC to sleep here for a second. And then get my iPad going here. All right. Let's go Ocean Horn. See if this works. I think my screen needs a little cleaning. Okay. Hang on a second. Okay. All right, it does not appear as though the controller is working with the iPad. So this is likely not a compatible iPad option. But we'll give it another go here in a second. It did light up initially, but then it stops. So let me do a little kill the app here kind of thing. And let's see if I can get this to work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you the overhead here, show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to hold down I'm pretty sure it needs to be in X input mode for the iPad. I'll hold down the X here and plug it into the dock. And when I do that, it doesn't seem to get recognized. So let me try the other option, which is to hit B and see if that makes any difference. Oh, wait a second. Well, that's weird. So it detects something is there because like it was going wacky on the, let's see if it comes up now. So it's lit up here now, but it looks like the controller is not recognized. Let's see, let me get into the game. I doubt it's going to work. Some of the other 8bitdo controllers do work, but this one does not appear to be working. So let's try the X option here. Oops. Yeah, no dice. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I have to use the... Yeah, so it does not appear as though this is one of the compatible Apple ones. And it would not be because, I mean, my initial reaction is because it's got the USB-A on board, that's going to limit you significantly. So that's probably part of what's driving the complexity here. Let me go and grab my Mister real quick. I got to do a little setup to get that working, but I think that might be a fun thing. And let me get some questions here too. Yeah, this is, I think, if you like that Xbox 360 look, it feels good. The latency is really low on it. What we're going to test out when we get the Mister connected is the D-pad. That'll be the next thing we look at. And I do have Apple Arcade. You know, it was one of those things that came with something and then I forgot to cancel it. And what I have found, though, is that I'm using it enough for review work that I'm doing that I just kept the subscription going. But this one was called Oceanhorn 2. And yes, it does look familiar, doesn't it? Inspired by, right? If you're into Zelda, you'll love Oceanhorn. So, and, you know, I have not played enough of it to say it is or it isn't. However, if you want to play a Zelda-like game on the iPhone or iPad, it's actually really polished. I think it's a good game. And it does work with Linux. They say it'll work with the Raspberry Pi. So you have to start it up in its B mode, they said. But it will work with Linux. Yeah, it looks like it's not supported. Sometimes I've found with them is that they will say something doesn't work, but it actually does. So that's why I always like to test it. Because there was one other controller I had from them, and it turned out to be like really good. Like it had a lot of other things that it could do. Yeah, so this one is not on the list of supported things there. All right, so let me go upstairs real quick and grab my Mister. And it's going to take a little bit of shuffling, if you will, because I have to get my, my monitor up on the desk. So bear with me for 1 second here, folks, while I go up and get it. And Edward is going to pre-order a couple for family game night. Yeah, I think this will work. My kids will fight over which color. They'll both want the same color. So if they had a pink one, I'd be all set. Because I'd buy two of the pink ones, and that would be it. All right, I got to go find my Mister. Actually, I know where my Mister is. And I just have to disconnect everything from it. All right, so disconnect that, disconnect this, disconnect that. And I got to get my plugs for it. Where did they go? Let's see. My Mister needs a little work. But I got to get another case on it. I was wrenching on it, and I got a new input board. Like all these things were coming in, and I was swapping parts out. I upgraded the RAM. You know how all that goes. So before you know it, you're like, oh. All right, there's the other plug. Okay. All right, the Mister is free. Yes, I have a wireless Sennheiser mic, so I can just get up and walk around. And so it's not hard to keep you going. And then you can hear something while I wander around here. Okay, so now I'm coming back downstairs. And you know what I love about the Mister is that it can do so many things. So sometimes it's my retro computer. I've been having a lot of fun just like exploring some of the 8-bit computers that I didn't have as a kid. So I had an Apple II and not a Commodore. So it's kind of fun to load up Commodore stuff and see what that was like, right? All right, so let me get this stuff out of the way here. And we'll bring the Mister into the mix. Now, is everyone on the stream aware of what a Mister is? Because if you don't, you'll be in for a treat here. So here's my Mister. And I have the more recent I/O board on it. And what's amazing about the Mister is just how incredible it is and all the different things you can do with it. Let me just grab a monitor real quick. If you're not aware, I have monitors all over the place. And there's always the right monitor for the job. So right now, the right monitor for the job is going to be my little 1080p one here. And I just need to find my little extension cable. And I'm in a position now where I have a pile of electronics here that just keep getting worse. I have to do another. Okay. All right, so we got that resolved. And what I'm going to do now is I got that hooked up. What I probably need to do is plug in a keyboard just so I can navigate the menu here a little bit. So this Mister has, I have the USB hub on the bottom. And so in that, hooked up to that hub is my Bluetooth / actually this is just Wi-Fi. It's my Wi-Fi connector. I used to plug it in via Ethernet, but it just doesn't move that quick over Ethernet, so there was no point. And plus, you're not doing like multiplayer stuff. So I have a Wi-Fi dongle here, the Cana kit, works great. And then I've got a bunch of USB ports. And what's cool about how this is interconnecting is there's a little connector here that merges those two USB things together there. And so what I'm going to do here is just connect this to that. And what I'm going to do now is just connect up the Mister. And the Mister is powered over just these USB connectors. And that's it. It is booting up. And I haven't updated the firmware in a little while, but it's probably relatively up to date. And so I'll need to just get my, and you won't hear any sound out of it because I don't have it going through my video system. And there's no speaker on this thing here. But it'll be good enough to kind of get a feel for the D-pad, which is what I'm after here. And as you can see, it's already working. What I will do, though, is go in and define the joystick buttons. Okay, here we go. So we're going to do right, left, down, up, A, B, X, Y, left, right, select, start. And now this is bound to the controller here. And I just set a menu thing here also. All right. Okay, so now we've got that all defined, and then I can go in and boot something up. So what I'm going to do real quick, I've got so much stuff on here. What I love about the Mister is that it has these updates that just come down, right? So you don't have to do anything. You just turn it on and you can get to what you're looking for. And what I'm going to do here is just, I like to load up the Legend of Zelda. And the reason I like to do that is because it's a good way to test the D-pad. So if we jump into this, it actually looks pretty good. All right, so let's take a look at errant diagonals. And be with me in 1 second here. All right. So this is the wired version. There is a 2.4 version also. But the D-pad feels pretty good. So what I look for here is whether or not there's like an errant diagonal. That's what I'm looking for. And that's not what I'm seeing here. And so this Roger P is the wired version. But I think very reasonably priced. I mean, for 20 bucks, I mean, I'd buy like 10 of these. I may get a couple more. It's a perfect companion for like a mister like this. Look at that. That's great. All right, so let me do a quick recording here. And what is the mister? Oh my goodness. Not only did you miss a video, there's a whole playlist. So if you go to, I think it's Lon.TV/mister, you will see an entire, I think I've got 13 videos on that playlist. And you can kind of get a feel for it. What it is, for those of you that are not familiar with it, it's an FPGA computer. So it is able to replicate the logic of pretty much anything at this point. Mostly from the 90s on backwards. So all the 80s 8-bit computers are in here. Mac, Amiga, Commodore 64, 128, Apple II. It does all the old game consoles. It's got Sega CD, the TurboGrafx, PC Engine. It does everything. And it just gets better because it's all open source. So it's just amazing what it can do. And here we're running the NES core. But it's very accurate. And what's nice about it is that because of how it works, there's always this semantic argument about whether or not the MiSTer is emulation or whatever. But what the MiSTer has for its basic functionality is an exact replication of logic. And because it's on an FPGA, all of the parallel processes that are happening inside of one of these old game consoles is happening on this. So the NES had the CPU, had basically what they called the PPU and the MMU, I think. Basically, there was a chip that did the CPU and the graphics, and another one that did, or there was a chip that did there was one that did the CPU and the sound, and another one that did the graphics. And so most of these classic game consoles had multiple chips doing things in concert. And so the way these FPGA cores are designed is for those things to all happen in parallel. So when you have a properly written FPGA core, it behaves a lot like the original hardware does. And the result of that is you get much lower latency of input. The other thing that you get from this is that when you have the I/O board attached like I do, is that you can plug it in to a CRT television and it looks amazing because you can use a component input on the TV if you have one. I got lucky. I ended up finding a TV with component input on it. And so you could hook up light guns and whatever to this. And it's amazing because you have classic arcade games. You can put the classic arcade game on the CRT and play it like that. It's amazing. So, William, so you cannot, there's no diagonal movement in this game. But what I look for is an errant. So if I push diagonally, he'll start moving up in kind of an erratic fashion. And one of the issues that I look for on a D-pad is, can I rock back and forth like this without an errant diagonal being registered? And this looks like it's really good at not registering the errant diagonal. Because the errant diagonal in this game is up. So he's not going to move diagonally, he's going to move up. But what I found on a lot of these, on a lot of the poorer D-pads, is that you will get these errant diagonals, which you're not getting here. And the original NES controller was really good at not registering errant diagonals, and it looks like they've got a really good D-pad here. In fact, this feels a little better than some of their other more recent controllers here. So let's do a quick test. Oh, there was one. I was not paying attention. Let me try this again. So I'm rocking back and forth here, and we're not going up. That's what you want to look for. And they were not always perfect here with this. Like, there was times when they were pretty bad on their D-pads, and they really spent time trying to figure out the best way to make it work. And there was, up until recently, there was a patent that Nintendo had on their D-pad, so you couldn't design, you had to design your D-pad very differently. So that was something that I always look for here. So it cannot play Switch level games. The the most advanced core on it right now in the official release cycle is the PlayStation 1. It does that very well. I can actually show you that. I think I have a couple games on here. Oh, it's got a autosave, okay. You have save states now too, by the way, on the Mister for some cores, not all of them. Here, I'll show you the... And what's cool about it is, like, you want to switch to the PlayStation, you just go and change your core. So I'll go to... oh, it does the 32X now also, by the way. So I'll go to PSX. And I have some of the games that I owned as a kid on here. And I'll load a CD. And here, I'll do... I just like this game because I'm nostalgic for it. But it just switches over, just like that. And everything works great. The sound works great. There are some enhancements that you can run on this that don't have a performance penalty. So it's pretty cool how it all works. But the bottom line here is that this will function with a Mister or a Raspberry Pi, at least in our testing here. So that's good. Yeah, this game is not great. It was better when it came out. I bought this when I was in college, right when it came out. I loved Destruction Derby 1. And I bought this as a birthday present to myself in 1996, maybe? I think that's when I bought it. And I remember playing hooky from class that day. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the day off from class and enjoy my birthday. But yeah, so this is, you can jump from one to the other. And some of these other cores are a little, they may not be an exact replica of the logic, but they've reproduced the logic in a way that it performs the same way. And initially, people didn't think that this would be possible on the Mister, to be able to get a PlayStation experience to work on it. But as you can see, it works great. And I think somebody's working on the Nintendo 64. I think that's going to be a stretch. But it feels good. And what's nice is that you don't get a huge... The control in this game was always awful. You don't get a huge latency penalty even when you're on the HDMI. But if you plug this in to a CRT, you get the real deal. Like it looks just as good as a real PlayStation would on an old CRT. It's not... It's just... Basically, it creates the circuit, essentially. So it just dumps the video out. I got some points for that. So yeah, good stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm pretty convinced that this is workable. It'll plug if you plug it into a Mac. I'm pretty sure it will work on the Mac. Maybe we should try that on my MacBook Air real quick. But I am very happy with the D-pad. That's what I wanted to test here in addition to the single board computer stuff. But that's good. Roger P says they should. Yeah, so really what it is, believe it or not, it's a matter of the physical size of the FPGA chip on board. So they can, it's possible to go higher on this. It's just that you need a larger FPGA because there's actually room. It's kind of complicated how it works, but there is only so much physical room for the logic that you're programming out in code. Is how that works. But the 32X is a great example of the strength of an FPGA for this kind of work because the 32X had the Sega Genesis with its 68,000 processor. You had then two of these Hitachi whatevers in there, plus all the graphics stuff. And so you've essentially got two unique systems running in concert plus the overlay of the graphics, right? So for example, this game, Star Wars Arcade, the cockpit of the fighter was generated by the Sega Genesis portion, but the graphics behind the outside graphics here were generated by the 32X add-on. So there was a lot of complexity to how they made this work. And I have to map the buttons here. But you get the idea as to how this this works. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, you just hit a button and you can jump from one system to the next, and it all works great. There's a tremendous community behind this, so it is constantly getting updated with new cores. The community is really helping each other out, because if you think about it, especially with classic computers, they all mostly ran on the same chips, right? So, the 6502, the MOS 6502 runs the Apple, it runs, the Atari and the NES and everything. So all those systems kind of ran off the same CPU. So you've got people that really understand how that CPU works. And so that CPU plugs into, the logic of that CPU plugs into all these other cores. So as things are improved in one area, they can improve the rest of the area too. And to a large degree, a lot of the systems are fairly perfected at this point. So what we've been seeing lately is a lot of enhancements of those cores to add features like save states and other things. So it's really cool. Oh, do they have a core for DOS? As a matter of fact, they have a couple of cores for DOS. Here, I'll show you one real quick. There's AO486, which is able to handle, it doesn't quite run at Pentium speed, but I'll show you this one. I think there's an XT now also, a PC XT, a PC 88. So you've got a couple of different DOS versions. The one that I've been playing around with the most, though, is the AO486. And this may be this one's last updated in December. I haven't run my update script in a while. I'm not even sure what I have on here. Let's see. I think I have Windows 3 on here. Yeah, I got Microsoft Windows 3. It runs pretty good. I mean, I don't have a lot on here at the moment, but let me plug my mouse in. But when you think about it, it's kind of cool. Like, you just plug this thing in, and suddenly you've got all this functionality that you can bring to bear on it. You can do your solitaire. Actually, you know what? I think they must have enhanced this a bit. This feels really quick. I wonder what they've done to. I'm just looking through the stuff here. Yeah, so this one's clocking in at 90 megahertz now. So it looks like they've been making some improvements. But this is a 486 at 90 megahertz 486, which would in its day would have been a real hot ticket. I don't know if I have. Let's see, I'm waiting for the screen to change there. Did it lock up? Sometimes it locks up on you too. There it goes. I don't think I've put any games on here. Yeah, I'll have to install something. I don't have any games running. But people do run DOS games on it. But yeah, it's great. And sound is great too. Yeah, the sound comes out of the HDMI. Also, if you have, like I do, and it's hard to see on here at the moment, but if you have the I/O board attached like I do, there's a headphone jack here that supports optical out also. It's an SPDIF. So you can see that little LED right there. That's firing through there. But usually what I do when I hook it up to the CRT television is I have essentially a VGA to component cable here. It doesn't output VGA. Maybe it does. I can't remember. But I have a cable that plugs in here for the video, and then I plug the audio cables in here, and I just have like a headphone to RCA output. So having the input board is kind of important for all that stuff because you get all of those things. And then it also has, right here is it looks like a USB port, but it's actually for something called the snack, which allows you to use analog game controllers with the Mister also. So you could plug in, I have a snack and it has adapters for, so for example, if I wanted to plug in the NES Zapper, I would plug it into that, and it works like that. So that's how that works. Then you got the little Wi-Fi going here too. And then to update it, there's an update script that is automatic. So you don't have to do anything about it. You just run it and the thing just updates itself. So it's really good. It's really, really good where it's come. But yeah, and then the controller works great with it. So Raspberry Pi Mister, I think this is a great deal at $20. I would say, as cheap controllers go, this is probably the best one you can get. So I'm very pleased with this. So yeah, I can recommend that. And I am going to probably take a break. I have to go in a minute, which is why I got to jet in a second. But I'm going to depart in a few minutes. But before I do, I want to take some more questions. And I want to thank all of you who've been doing some pre-orders. It does help the channel, believe it or not. Because when we stream on Amazon, we get the Amazon affiliate thing. And I see we've had 91 clicks on the purple one, 42 clicks on the green one. And we didn't get to the Ultimate controller, but I will be working on something with that soon. Maybe while I take your questions, I'll unbox the Ultimate controller. So we'll see what that one's got in the mix here. And what I'll do here is while I'm doing that, let me reset the Mister real quick. And what I'll do is I'll do an update on the Mister and see what's new. But it's great. I mean, you just hit a button and it just becomes something else. And it's so easy because there's nothing to boot up to. It just boots to its menu here and you're done. And I have a script here called update all. And it just updates itself. So what'll happen now for like the next 20 minutes is it'll just go and download whatever it needs. And we're just going to continue. Yes, it's going to grab everything. And so what it does is it updates. So there's a Linux backend on this. It updates the Linux backend. It downloads the Mister core. So Mister has like a framework that it runs with, for the menu and how everything interconnects. And so right now it's checking that. It's going to download that, update everything, get all the arcade editions put on there. So yeah, it runs arcade games. It does it all. All right, so this one is the Ultimate controller, except this one does not do Bluetooth and it doesn't work with the Switch. So this one, here, I'll pull it up on the screen here. So that is this. Let me just move the Mister slightly out of the way here. So the other one, the Bluetooth one, oh, I'm going to fall down. Hang on. So the Bluetooth one works with Switch and Windows. This one does not. This one's just Windows and Android, it says. And I found with this one that its usage mode depends on the connection that you're making with it. And I've got to go back and remember how all that works. Now, Roger P. says the Bluetooth one has a Hall effect stick. Is that true? I'll have to look that up. I don't know if it does. But if it does, that will be definitely worth chatting about. And I'm going to try to not destroy the box here, but it looks like I'm not succeeding. Oh, there's another sticker on the other side here. All right. There we go. Okay, so let's take it out of its box here while the Mister updates itself. Okay, so here is the Ultimate 2.4. A little dusty, actually. I don't know how the dust got in there. Maybe it's just the cardboard dust. So you've got the controller here. The battery is built in. And it will charge in its charging dock. And if I recall, the other one, yeah, so the dongle is in here. And so that's the dongle for the 2.4 receiver. And then it actually has a really nice way that it docks itself. So it just kind of locks into that dock there, and you're good to go. And the dock also has a USB-C on it. And I think when the dongle is connected like this, it actually works that way, if I'm not mistaken. So it's pretty good. And Leo says some models do have, I will double check on that because I am not sure which ones do and which ones don't, but I know that is a desirable feature. Let me check their website and let's see which one has what. So we'll go back to, so let's do the 2.4 Ultimate, and I'll go to the FAQ. Okay, so the 2.4 is an Alps joystick, so that is not Hall effect, but let's take a look at the other one just to make sure. And Roger P is probably right. I'm not doubting it. Yes, so the other one, I'm going to have to mark them so I can tell them apart. The other one, which believe it or not I have in my buried pile of stuff here, the other one has the Hall effect stick. So that would be a reason to get the other one over this one. So what's the price difference? So this one is $50. The other one, let's take a look. Bear with me, I'm looking for the price here. They have a million things, but not what I'm looking for. Okay, so so Roger says it's $20 more for the Ultimate one. So let's go to their page here. That's the wired one. Maybe out of stock. That might be what's going on here. Hang on. So let's look up 8bitdo Ultimate. So it can get confusing. So I'm going to do a video on both of them. I think they're going to perform the same. But actually, maybe not. They won't perform the same because the one with the Hall sensors are going to be better, right? Yeah, so it's what, like 69 versus 49? But I think for an enthusiast looking for the best experience, the Hall effect sticks are going to be the best ones, for sure. So this one, it's getting you the experience of, you're going to get the experience and all the features, but the sticks are not going to be as good. So the other one's got and it doesn't support the Switch. So, it is kind of a budget choice, right? It's a budget choice, but it doesn't compromise on some of the feature set if you wanted to customize things. But the other one is going to be better for its Hall effect sticks. So I will definitely do a separate video on those. In fact, what I need to do, okay, they are labeled on the back, so I'll know which one is which. Because they look the same. So if I get the other one out here, wherever it ended up. I started working on it right before, I think before the holidays, and then I just got tied up. Part of the issue was that I have not been seeing a lot of interest. I'm not getting a lot of traffic on game controller videos lately, so they've not been on the front burner. But this one I think is going to do well because it's inexpensive and it's good. So, all right, well, I will get to work on all that stuff. So there you go. All right, well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This was a fun exercise today. I think we had fun. I know you all had fun. And yeah, so we're going to go from there. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the Ultimate C, for the price point, this hits the mark for $20. It's a great controller. Doesn't work with your Xbox, though, by the way, or your Switch. But it works with your Mister. So that is what I think of that. All right. And I think everyone answered Dan's question, but yeah, we were running with the Mister. So if you go to Lon.TV, I'll put it in the chat. Lon.TV/Mister, just like it sounds, and you can go and check it out. I've done a lot on this. I have actually 2 videos with Retro RGB with Bob, and we did a couple of presentations at Retro World Expo talking about the Mister and how it works and how it compares to other things. So I think that would be a great tutorial if you want to learn more about it. It's a really fun tinkering project. Can the Ultimate run wired as well? Yes, it can. Yep, you plug it right in. So I think you can plug in, I'll double check that over the USB-C port there. But yeah, it's good stuff. And this is not wireless, but they have a wireless version. It's not Bluetooth, it's 2.4 with a dongle, but they do have a wireless version for $10 more. So it will feel the same, but a little different. All right. Well, thank you all for helping me out today. We got a lot done. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to shoot my review in a little bit. I've got to do a couple more things with it, but I think we're ready to go. So I want to thank you all for your tuning in. And we'll have more lives coming up because my schedule is finally calming down a bit. So we will have more lives to go. Part of it is that a lot of the stuff I've been working on has not been things that lend itself to a live stream. So that's been part of it, but we will do more later. All right. I had fun too, Leo, and I will catch you all on the next stream. And until next time, stay safe and have a great afternoon. Bye for now.